welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Katharine, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 30 books before I turn 30. So at the time that you're seeing this, I'm going to be turning 30 in about a year and a half. I was born in July of 1996, so that means I'm going to be turning 30 in July of 2026. So I have about a year and a half to complete 30 of these books on this list in order to complete this challenge that I'm trying to set for myself. But I don't think that's unreasonable. I usually read about 5 books per month on average. I could read as little as like 2 books per month, which is like 1 book every other week, or as much as 2 books per week, which is about 8 books per month. So I feel pretty confident that I could complete 30 books before I'm 30. I have set a Goodreads goal for myself in 2025 to read 50 books, and I plan on surpassing that if I end up reading about 5 books per month. But just pray that I don't get into a reading slump or that life gets too busy for me to stop reading. So let's just get into the 30 books that I want to read before I'm 30. I think that this is a great thing to do. I've seen a few other booktubers do this, especially in the Christian booktube realm, and I thought it would be a great video for me to do to kind of set a challenge for myself to read a certain number of books before a certain age. And since 30 is a big number and it's a little bit scary, I thought I would set 30 books for me to read before then. I just want to mention though that all of these books are considered classics, and one of my big goals for like upcoming years is to read more classics, and I wanted to put the classics on here just because like I see classics as like sort of like a bucket list goal to do before I die. And I know this kind of sounds morbid and negative, but like who knows when I'm gonna die? Like it could be tomorrow and it could be, 50 years from now, but I just don't know when that time's gonna come. So I want to try to get as many classics in there as I can, and that's why I put all classics on this list for 30 books before I'm 30. So let me just get into this. So this is kind of going to be a repeat of when I did the 25 books I want to read in 2025, just because of the nature of like when I'm turning 30. So I turned 30 in a year and a half, like I mentioned before, and that means a lot of these books are going to be read in 2025 and some in 2026, because I do turn 30 like in the middle of 2026. So I could read some of these books as 2026 is starting in that first half of the year. So you'll see some repeats in here, if that makes sense, of like some of the books I want to read in 2025 from the video that I made, 25 books of, what am I even trying to say? The video that I just made, 25 books in 2025, you'll see some repeats in there just because of the nature of like when my birthday is and how fast it's coming up. So let's just start off with the repeats. I know that you probably have already heard me say this in that video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll tag it back down below. But the first series, classic series that I want to finish is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. There's 9 books in that series. There's Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, Anne of the Island, Anne of Windy Poplars, Anne's House of Dreams, Anne of Ingleside, Rainbow Valley, Rilla, My Rilla, and the Blythes are quoted. And I've already mentioned this before in my 25 books in 2025, but essentially the 9th book in this series was unfinished by L.M. Montgomery because she passed away in the middle of writing it and then someone else finished it for her. So I still count it towards the series. And I did not mention this in my 25 books in 2025, but the reason why I really want to read the Anne of Green Gables is because my grandmother's family is from Prince Edward Island, and the Anne of Green Gables takes place in or on Prince Edward Island. So that's part of the reason why I want to read this, and my grandmother loved Anne of Green Gables. I also have another repeat series that was in my 25 books in 2025, but I swear these are the last books that are repeats, and it's Middle Earth by J.R.R. Tolkien, and it's The Hobbit, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. And then the next set of books is not in a series, it's just by a specific author, and that's Agatha Christie. I am kind of hesitant about reading these books because I'm not much of like a thriller or like suspense or mystery type reader. I usually love romance, Christian historical romance specifically. So I don't know if I like these, but because 2 out of the 3 books that I have listed here have movie adaptations, I'm pretty sure I might like these. I might just read them just so that I could watch the movies. And the 3rd book I don't believe has a movie adaptation, but it's one of her more popular books. And these 3 books are Death on the Nile, and Then There Were None, and Murder on the Orient Express. Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express both have movie adaptations. I don't think And Then There Was None has a movie adaptation, but I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. But I always like when classics have movie adaptations because, or TV series adaptations, because for me, classics can kind of be harder for me to read just because I am a slower reader, and I've always found reading difficult. Even though it's difficult for me, I still enjoy reading. But when there's like a movie adaptation, it almost makes it easier for me to understand what I just read. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Anne of Green Gables has movie adaptations and TV series adaptations, and so does Middle-earth, like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings too. So I'm grateful for that. So with the Agatha Christie books, Middle-earth, and Anne of Green Gables, that brings us up to 16 out of the 30 books that I want to read for 20 or before I'm 30. So I'm more than halfway through this list for the 30 books I want to read before I'm 30. So let's get on to the second half. So I have some different standoff authors. I have Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott, which I'm really excited for because not only is there a movie adaptation for this book as well, but Louisa May Alcott actually grew up like literally like 30 minutes from where I live in Massachusetts. So I would love to go visit the house that she grew up in that inspired, Little Woman after I'm done reading Little Woman. So that would be really cool. And then I also have the complete Grimm's fairy tales. And for those who don't know, I used to work for Disney. And as you probably could tell by the fairy tales, the Grimm fairy tales, a lot of the Disney princess movies have been based off of the Grimm fairy tales. Specifically things like Cinderella and things of that nature. Rapunzel. I think Rapunzel's part of the Grimm fairy tales. I don't know. I know Cinderella is one. I would love to read the complete Grimm's fairy tales. I know there is a book that I can buy with all of them in it. So I would love to do that. I know some of them can get pretty dark just because of the nature of like the time that it was written in. It can be a little bit more brutal. I've heard there's some violence in it, which is hard to think about because like you don't think of fairy tales and like things being like gruesome, but that's what I've heard. So I'm excited to read that. And then I also have some books by Charles Dickens. I have A Christmas Carol, A Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations, and Oliver Twist. I actually read Great Expectations and Oliver Twist when I was in high school and middle school, I believe, but I honestly like don't even remember like what any of it was about or both of those books were about, because when I was in school and I was like forced to read books for classes, like for some reason, because I think they were forced, like it just went in one ear and out the other. Like I don't know if there's like a word for that, but because like I had to read it for school, I just like couldn't retain any of the information from the books that I read. So I want to read those Charles Dickens books. And then I also want to read Jane Austen, of course. I want to read Emma, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Persuasion, Mansfield Park, and Northanger Abbey. Those are, I believe, her most popular books that she has published. And I have read Emma before, but like I said, I read Emma for school, and it just like literally went in one ear and out the other because I was forced to read it. And I couldn't retain any of the information that I read in that book. So like I really do want to specifically reread Emma, but I also want to read the rest of the Jane Austen books in that list. And the last book that I have on this is the 30th book in my list of 30 books I want to read before I'm 30, and that's the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. This is considered a classic. I don't know if it's considered a fiction book or nonfiction. I believe it's considered fiction, and I just really want to read this one specifically by him. I know he's written a lot of other books, but I do want to read this one in particular because I've heard that once you read the Screwtape Letters, it like changes your life, like as a Christian. So it's something I'm really looking forward to because I kind of need a refresh in my walk with Christ, and I'm looking forward to reading that specifically. It's a shorter book, I believe, and from what I understand, it's about a book about like the devil writing letters to his demons, or vice versa, or something like that. It has to do with like the devil and writing letters and like his demons and stuff like that. And I know that doesn't sound like a Christian book, but like it is, and it's supposed to like, I guess, deepen your walk with Christ and like see, I don't know, into how Satan thinks. I don't know if that's what it's about really, but all I know is it's about Satan, and it's about demons, and it's about letters and intertwined with that. So I'm excited to read these 30 books before I'm 30. Like I said, I have about a year and a half to complete this because my birthday is in July of 2026 when I turn 30. So I am pretty confident that I'll finish these 30 books before I'm 30. Hopefully I stay on track of reading some classics and nonfictions within my reading every month, along with the other fiction books that I read. So I'm excited to do this. Thank you for watching today's video, by the way. I enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Hopefully it inspires you to set some goals for reading and do all the YouTube things that you know how to do. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!